I can confirm there are now 19,688 aggregate confirmed cases of coronavirus in Victoria. That's 76 new cases since yesterday. There have sadly been now 694 Victorians who have passed away because of this virus. That's an increase of 11 since yesterday's report. One female in their 60s, 3 females and 2 males in their 80s, 3 females and 2 males in their 90s. Of course, we send our best wishes and sincere condolences to each of those 11 families. 9 of those 11 deaths are linked to outbreaks in aged care. There are 196 Victorians who are currently in hospital. 20 of those are receiving intensive care, and 12 of those 20 are on a ventilator. A total of 2,428,778 test results have been received, which is an increase of 16,686 since yesterday. So those numbers are obviously much higher than yesterday's number. And again, we'll simply issue the plea to all Victorians, regardless of how mild your symptoms are. As soon as those symptoms begin, please come forward and get tested. It makes a massive difference, and it gives us the certainty, the data, the clearest picture of how much virus is out there, and that allows us to move in safe and steady steps towards finding that COVID normal. And thank you so much to all of those Victorians who have been tested and those who, as we speak, are making their way or will later today to one of the more than 190 test sites across the state to get tested. It's a massive and powerful contribution to our collective fight against this virus. There are 4,337 cases in total of unknown source. That's a decrease of 7 since yesterday's report. There are 252 healthcare workers who are active cases. We send our best wishes to them and, of course, all Victorians who have this virus. But a special mention and a special thank you to all of those healthcare workers for the amazing job that they're doing in very, very difficult circumstances. There are 1,622 active cases in Victoria, so those numbers continue to steadily fall. In terms of regional Victoria, there are 82 cases in regional local government areas under the stage 3 restrictions. There are 7 new cases today. But the total number, because of course as people recover they come off the active case list, but there are 7 new cases in regional Victoria. In general terms though, regional Victoria case numbers remain very low, and we are very grateful to each and every member of regional Victorian communities who are playing their part to keep those numbers low so that we can meet those trigger points and be able to not simply take 1 step but potentially 2 steps in regional Victoria to open regional Victoria up. That's not for today. There will need to be further days elapse for us to get to that point, but the numbers are encouraging. The overall picture in regional Victoria is very encouraging, and we thank everyone for the important part they're playing in delivering those lower numbers. In general terms, Colac has 30 active cases, 5 new. Greater Geelong has 15 active cases, 1 new. Greater Bendigo has just 2 active cases and no new cases, and Ballarat has no active cases. So when you think about the picture, only a few weeks ago, more than 500 cases across regional Victoria. We are now down to 82 active cases, and that trend is certainly with us and moves us closer day by day to being able to ease restrictions in regional Victoria in a safe and steady way. The metropolitan 14-day rolling average is 74.5. The regional Victorian rolling average is 5 cases. That means across the board it's an 80.8 average across both regional and metro Melbourne. Active cases in disability facility settings, there are some 17 of those, 11 in staff, 6 in residents. So there is some significant stability there, and indeed numbers are coming down, which is very important given the vulnerability of so many in those settings. Aged care active cases, there are now 829 currently active cases. The same can be said there. Those numbers they've stabilised firstly and now they are falling. That is very important, again, given the often very tragic outcomes from uncontrolled outbreaks in aged care settings. Just finally from me, in terms of updates, we had some questions in relation to worker permits. So I can now confirm following many questions that have been asked about the status of permits. Permits will need to be reissued over the next few weeks as the dates on them expire. There will be some further advice put up on the website later today, but employers will be able to use the template that they've already got. They can simply amend the dates on it and reissue based on those steps. We will provide, and the different categories that different industries find themselves in, we'll have some further guidance. We've tried to make this as, well, try to reduce the administrative burden as much as possible. But if those permits are going to be accurate and effective, particularly for the purposes of curfew, then they do need to be reissued. When it comes to childcare permits, though, those did not have a date on them, and there's still a couple of weeks to run in terms of the, we hope, the likely shift once we reach that 30 to 50 case trigger in metropolitan Melbourne. These were not dated, though, so there will not be a need to reissue those. They will be live and current for as long as they need to be. If we could find a way where employers did not need to reissue permits and still have them valid, still have a degree of formality with them, they need to be contemporary. They need to represent exactly who is working and the circumstances under which they are working, so that police have got the clearest and easiest sense of who should be out and about, who can be out and about after curfew. Therefore, they need to be remade. There'll be some further advice on the website later today. I now might ask Jerome and then Nick to speak to wastewater testing. I think it's fair to say that we are doing this in a leading way, not just in Australia, but some of the stuff we're doing is truly world class. And every tool, every mechanism that can be used in order to try and stay a step ahead of this virus, particularly in regional Victoria right now, but in metropolitan Melbourne as numbers continue to fall, will be very important, and that's why an enormous amount of work has gone into trial and make sure that the efficacy of this is up to scratch. It's just one example of many different continuous improvements that we've made, many different approaches, and trying to be as open as possible to looking at different ways of doing things that serves us well, and certainly will be of even greater benefit once we get down to very low numbers and the strategy is absolutely reliant and dependent on keeping those numbers as low as possible.